et cetera, so on and so forth. And there's going to be some really good questions that I'll give you kind of just in general now, as well as over time. But like I said, you should have, and this is one of the best things the guy trained me that he gave me, in my opinion, was have 10 questions that are just ringer questions, that are just your questions, that if you get stumped up and you fall back, like, these are what you fall back on. Okay. So human nature, we think the guy talking or the person talking, guy or girl, I guess, that the one talking is in control. That's actually not the case. The person asking the questions is in control. So the doctor is going to ask you a bunch of questions before he makes his diagnosis, right? If you're being interrogated by the FBI, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, right? So it's a matter of the person asking questions is the person in control. So if you feel like, oh man, I got to talk, I got to fill this void of space, you don't have to talk. You have to ask a proper question. Okay. So questions gets people talking about them, because like it or not, people actually like to talk, but what they like to talk about is themselves. So in the selling world, we have a tendency, we want to ask them questions that we think pertain to us and pertain to our sell. Like, that's not the case. That's not what they want to talk about. Like, you want to talk about things that pertain to them. So like if you're going through the inspection, let's say you see that they're, their house may be 20 years old, but it looks like the siding is in great shape. Be like, your siding looks like it's in great shape. Have you had it painted recently? Like, if it was 20 years old and it's in good shape, trust me, they've done work on it, right? So feel free to ask questions that get them talking about themselves. Another cool key point of that, and do not get disingenuous mixed up with this. So if I get a homeowner that's a car guy, I'm for sure going to start talking about cars. But if I got a homeowner that's a flower guy or gal, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know junk about them. So like, for example, I went door knocking with a guy one day, and this guy had a Chevy small block sitting on his porch. Okay. And he goes, hey, so motor. And I was like, hey, so Chevy 350 small block him? And we start having actual conversation. So if you don't know about it, don't pretend you know about it. And the flip side, I was knocking with another guy one day, and like, I got nothing to go off on this old lady. I'm getting nowhere. And Rory just jumps in behind me. Hey, so look at these Petunia Medaisy Badoobers things here. You probably put, like, I don't know the word. I don't know what it was. I'm not a flower guy. I don't know what to tell you. Turns out he's a green thumb like you've never seen. He knows all the things and the shades and the sun. I'm like, I'm just going to get out y'all way and let you do it. So only talk about things that are interested. Like, don't pretend to be interested about something that you're not interested about. But that's a case where you let them talk about themselves, right? So if you got an old grandparent that looks like they've been waiting for someone to talk to and show their family albums to in a while, do be careful on that. That could be a bit of a time suck. So control how much they talk about themselves, but you want them talking about themselves that makes them feel more comfortable. So how you know you're doing this well is in one day, all of a sudden, people start telling you things they definitely shouldn't be telling you. So I remember when I was first doing this, like, I had some people like asking for advice and talking about things. I'm like, I'm a freaking stranger. Why are you bringing this up? And I even started talking to Josh about it. I'm like, bro, this homeowner's like, I didn't say the name. I said, but I got a homeowner telling me this, and he's like, yeah, dude, they can feel it on you, bro. Like, cool. Could they not feel it on me? Like, So if you ever start getting someone telling you things that they shouldn't be telling you, you're doing a very good job of making them comfortable. So don't take that as an awkward thing. Take that as an opportunity. You're serving your purpose. Great job. Okay. So the reasons why they will or won't buy, you need to ask that. So a killer question that I stole from somebody a long time ago, and I recommend anybody try this, especially if you know you're in competition. When choosing a contractor, what's most important to you? And guess what they're going to do? What's that?
The price and the work.
Okay. You're going to hear that sometimes. And if they say the price and the work, Well, if I give you good work, my price is going to be high.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, when you break it down and you ask that, later on, if you ask that in the very beginning, that's the kind of thing you're going to get. But if you ask it later on after you've done your presentation, let's say like, hey, let's do this. Right now, you're like, okay, cool. That makes sense. I understand. But let me ask you before I leave, what's most important in picking a contractor? You're going to hear things like, someone's been in business for a while. Cool. Then you have an opportunity to talk about it. Or someone has good reviews. Cool. You have an opportunity to talk about it. Like, you're going to get the thing that means the most to them. Like, they're just going to flat out spell it for you. And again, because if you don't ask them of that, they're going to be the first thing they say to the next guy. Okay? So, asking questions helps you lead. Because once again, by asking questions, by getting them to talk about them, you can help them with what they want. If you don't know what they want, you can't really help them as well. Does that make sense? You look like you have a question or you want to say something.
Because every cell is going to be different. You can't be a robot.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. That's why, I'll have some guys say you can have a script for the door. I can kind of follow that. In my opinion, there's no way you can have a script for the pitch, which some guys think you can, because every single roof is different. Like once you come, that's like saying a doctor has a script for everybody that comes in. Like everybody comes in for different things. There's no, we're all different. So it's a good point. I love that. So next thing, other than asking questions, and the reason you ask questions is actually so you can do this, is you need to lead your homeowners. Like you need to help them. You need to guide them through the process. If you don't feel like you're leading them, it's because you're not. And you definitely need to be leading them. It's crazy important. So can anybody give me an example of something that we've gone over that would be leading the homeowner?
Telling them what happens next.
Phenomenal. Telling them what happens next. What else?
I mean, honestly, because they're probably going to do this once in their lifetime. You're doing it once a day. Okay.
Hopefully I'm doing it more than once a day, but
You
yep.
know what I mean? At least going over
Yep.
that. I mean, shoot.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Presenting the options instead of just like one option, yes or no. It's like we're going to do yes, yes, or yes. Which one?
Very good. Anybody else got anything that's leading?
Subconsciously putting that in their head that you already are going to do the work. You've already won the job.
Yup. Very good. Anybody else? Robert?
Follow-ups are leading.
Follow-ups definitely are leading. So basically, everything I've been talking to you about is leading the homeowner. If you are leading them, you are winning. If you're not leading them, and guys, I'll tell you, this is a thing, if you don't feel like you're leading them, if you don't feel like you're helping them, you're not. Simple as that. You're not. So just keep that in mind. So if you don't lead them, somebody else will. Let's be real clear. And that's the upside downside to starting the process with somebody. They now know they need a process. And if they and here's the thing, if you're not leading someone, if you're not actually helping someone, they don't necessarily have bad feelings about you. They're just indifferent. And you don't want them to be indifferent. So think about that entire, like I said, what does if they're having a dinner date with a couple's friend and both have had interactions with getting a roof, whose roofer is going to come across better? That's how you need to think about it. And if you can say, oh, I guarantee you, my homeowners had a better experience than their friends, you're leading. You're leading. Because I can tell you right now, that's going to come up in conversation, it will. Now, when you get referrals after you've, a year later after you've helped someone, hey, I got a friend, we were sitting down for dinner and such, and man, their roofer was doing, and I told them about all the things you did, and they're going to call you. Is that okay? Absolutely. So if you're leading them, it's gonna stand out. Okay. So lead them or they will lead themselves. Meaning if you lead them and you give the options properly, you don't actually negotiate price. The better I got at all this process, the better I got at doing this, I almost never negotiated price. Versus the beginning, I negotiated price all the freaking time. I was like constantly price battling. But if you're leading them, you don't ever negotiate. Remember when I told you the story about my air conditioning? I spent 3 times the amount of money because that guy did his job better. And I didn't have the money. Like, we had to go get a loan. I didn't have the money at the time. Okay?
You probably save that in the long run, though.
What's that?
Probably save that in the long run, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, without question. So, good questions to have. These are some little snippets for you. I told you guys I gave you some questions. Here they are. When picking a contractor, what's most important to you? Already gave you that one. A good question. Do you have any questions? Right? So I know that sounds stupid, but like that legitimately is a good question. You just need to interject it properly and make like you get the feeling if they have a question. Another good one. Does that make sense? You notice I still use a lot of this stuff on you guys, right? So when we do the roof, is there anything you would like to change, like the color? It's actually putting them into that process. I'm like, oh, actually, it's getting them to think about something other than money, right? Or this is a good one. Does this room have a hard time cooling? So we talk about ridge vent being the best kind of cooling. You're going to notice in houses that don't have ridge vent, like if they have like a second story over the garage here, or they got a dining room over here, like that clearly has no venting over the roof in that section because it's the front of the house, those rooms are going to get hotter. So by asking this question, if you go, hey, that dining room, does it have a hard time getting cool? How did you know that? So exactly, it proves you're a pro. But then what we can do is actually install a ridge vent and change that for you. So I knew this to be a fact until so we've kind of talked about how important venting was, but this is my favorite story to explain it. I'd always sold tons of ridge vent and like I got it in theory and so on and so forth, right? But this homeowner, they had that one room over the garage in the front of the house, and it was their kids' room. And I had asked them on day one, hey, does this room, whatever room this is above your garage, does it have a hard time getting cooler? Like, yeah, sure it does. So then I sell them ridge vent. They're kids whom I never talked to or never explained the benefits to, and I'm sure he didn't either. You know, young kids, they were like 10-ish, I think, give or take, for the two of them. And they came to him 3 days later after the build and said, because we built it like in July or August or something like that, and they said, hey, Dad, our room, I don't know what the roofers did, but ever since the roofers came out, our room's cooler. He called me up and told me that, and I was like, okay. They had no clue it was being done, and they thought, hey, the roofer was recently out there. And like, it shows you what people really think when you're not around, for starters. And if it's so much so the kids, it proves the point of, okay, that isn't just a theory, that's like legitimately true. So from that day forward, I'm like, I'm selling some ridge vent, like, because it gave me authority to stand on that, right? Like I was like, okay, I've said this, and it's not that I didn't believe it, but now I believe it, right? So here's another cool one, and I love this one. This takes, you got to know what you're doing. What happened here? Fill in the blank. Was it this? Fill in the blank. So, like for example, say a house doesn't have drip edge, right? Or like if you see a new piece of fascia somewhere, hey, it looks like you had to do this. Did such and such happen? Oh my gosh, how did that guy know that? Right? Or, hey, I see some trim here and here. Did you have a leak here at some point? So like that takes things. Or something like if you see where someone's clearly added a kitchen vent in the middle of the roof because it's got new shingles in this one area. Hey, it looks like right here, did you recently add a stove vent? I did. How did you know that? Like it locks you in. It's like, okay, this guy definitely knows what he's doing. So it's a question that allows them to talk about them and prove how good you are. So your questions, as you can see, as you get better, they're not just questions. They're all double meanings. Talks about them and proves you. So your questions will get better as you go. How long ago was blank? Knowing the age of your roof is a good thing to know. Knowing how long ago they had something painted or worked on or whatever is a good thing to know. Or I had a guy come out when I checked on his roof one time. He's like, hey, the reason you're here, like some animal had got underneath his shingles and made like a teepee out of his shingles. Still the freakiest thing I've ever seen. Like literally some kind of animal, and he said he never found out what it was, but it also chewed a hole in the chimney. Like it literally pulled up it like made a teepee out of his freaking shingles on his roof. Like I still don't get it. I'm like, I don't know what kind of animal. It's a beaver that uses shingles instead of wood. I don't know, right? So you'll see some weird stuff. And in a case like that, if I now see that, I'll be like, hey, did a beaver make it like, you know what I mean? So when you see those things, it gives you, that experience will get you there. So here is a super, super awesome one that this is going to make you so much money on, is getting insurance agents. And a good way to get insurance agents is when you're talking with the homeowner, do you know who your agent is? Most people do not. Okay. Most people are going to go, no clue. And if they say, yes, I do you like them? Now, here's why I ask that. Because if they don't know who their agent is, that means they get to be a referral for another agent that I give out. So they're going to help me get business and I'm going to help them get discounts. If they know their agent, that means that guy's pretty good and has a good book of business. And that's somebody who I want to work with, because I'm actually picky about what agents I work with. I'm not going to go work with some Joe Schmo that has like 2 customers. I want to work with a guy who's me, who homeowners know him, love him, and call him versus calling somebody else. Because if they don't call him, he's never going to let me know. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Following along? I'll make.
It's good. 'Cause I got some friends that are insurance agents in Wichita.
Mhm.
I already told them, I'm like, hey, I'm getting into this. Heads up if you need anything, because we've had having storms and stuff already, even when I'm down here even. So I was like trying to put some little.
So yeah, so let me tell you what the majority of the roofing world does to get agents. They're like, hey man, here's some donuts. Right? It's like, cool, you spent $12 on me. I appreciate that. I'm not going to give you a customer. Or, hey man, you give me some referrals, I'll slide you a 250. You know what I mean? Which is illegal. Okay. Versus what they really want. When you go to an agent, what do you want?
Referrals.
You want referrals. So what do you think they want from you? Do you think any roofer is smart enough to figure that out? No. So I got a guy who was in our group of friends, and he's talking one day, like I'm on the other end. And I just basically found out he just had bought someone's book of business, and he's a insurance agent now. And I'm over here in this conversation. I went, excuse me, hey man, so you work at such and such and such and such now? He's like, cool. Said, cool. I got some homeowners right here. That this is the deal that happened. They're looking for a new agent, blah, blah. And he goes, what? He's like, did you just give you a referral? Are you being serious? He's like, there was like 3 roofers you're the only roofer I'm going to use now. I said, you daggone right. Because no other roofer does that. Now, if you give them a referral and they don't close it, that ain't my problem. And likewise, if I give you a referral, you don't get another one until I get one. And I'm going to feed who feeds me. So I got one old boy that I feed very well because he feeds me very well. And I have another guy who I fed and never gave me money back. So he never got fed again. So it's just my deal. But yeah, that's all. You go give one of your friends a referral, and this is exactly how you do that. If they don't know their agent, cool. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually in the industry. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about pricing. Don't get to know that. Don't want to know that. Don't care. I just know that this guy's like, he's pretty good. Is it okay if I have him give you a call? You don't tell them who that guy is because you don't know who that guy is, maybe. And then you hand it to him. Okay? Make sense?
Same thing with realtors. That's-
Yes, same thing. And realtors are a little bit different on what they want. What a realtor wants is their house closed and closed right now.
Speed.
That's what they want. And they honestly don't care if it costs money or not costs money because they're not the ones paying for it. They just want it done right now.
I feel like real estate investors would be a good group too, like people who are constantly buying houses and stuff.
Yeah. So like there's all sorts of ways to work these deals. It's not something I would recommend you guys doing until like your ball's up and rolling, in my opinion. It's not that those ways wouldn't work, but they're not going to work near as fast. Okay. Because I don't know if you recall on one of my schedules that was actually on my third section of schedules. I wanted to get my business up and rolling, and then I started working on those
Plus, it helps
things.
get practice to get good at like knowing your stuff, because a really good real estate agent, they're going to pick up on you being a newbie really fast.
Yep. So it's good. It's a good call. All right. All good to move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that later on today. So we're going to close with today what we're going to be going through tomorrow. Okay. Meaning role play, role play, role play. Now, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, as the kids say. I hate role playing. I despise it. I think it's awkward. It's the worst thing on the planet. But you know what? It's actually pretty good. So if you can get rid of the weird awkwardness here, it makes it even easier out front. So, but we're going to talk about it. You need to be a sales guy at the doors. You're going to knock 50 doors a day. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get good at it unless you get out there and do it. Okay. Just all there is to it. I can train you until we're blue in the face, until you just get out there and start getting your feet wet. It's not going to make a difference. So a perfect example, the way we train now has changed quite a bit over the years, right? We used to be like, hey, you're going to tag along with this guy for a couple of weeks. And then like their first day was still like, because you saw a guy who's a pro at it, like, I'm going to make you get your feet wet immediately. Like, just get the suck out of the way, and then we're going to help you. Like, that's all there is to it. It's like, let's say if you're going to be a professional runner and it's your first day as your new coach, he's going to make you run. Like, hey, you got to go run, so I need to see what I need to work on. So I need to see what I need to work on. So I'm going to prep you a little bit, but really the best way to do this is not prep work. It's diagnosis afterwards. Okay? So this is, everybody likes that slide, right? Well, I don't know how much longer this one will stay relevant, but we'll see. It gets a good laugh so far. So, right? So SLAP formula, this is one that we stole from Adam Bensman. So like I said, we actually pay for his programming. There's a couple different theories out there. This one is a theory I believe in a little better. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the script a little bit, and I'll give you guys the script option. If you feel that the script option is more your style, go ahead. Like I said, me personally, I like this better. So to each their own. So SLAP is an acronym, which I absolutely despise, but to Josh's point, acronyms work so well. Whatever. SLAP. The S stands for, shocker, say hello. And I love this. And you know, I used to see that and I'd be like, bro, do you really have to tell me to say hi? Until my first door. So let me explain to you the last time I had a really bad first door. It's not my last, it's my last really bad first door. I've had more bad first doors since then. This is my really bad one. We went out to Colorado to go do some training, and like we dispersed up all the teams, and it's just me and Josh. I'm like, well, we didn't stack this thing up right. I'm like, what are you and I going to go do? Well, we're going to go join the other teams. Like, well, let's just you and me go see what we got. I'm like, cool. By you and me, you mean me and you. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to tag along. I'm like, cool. So this is literally my first door. And sweetest lady ever opens the door. She's got her kids like, hi, we do roofs. And she goes, okay. Here's my card. Like, it's bad as it can. And we walked off, and me and Josh are just, we are both just laughing. He's like, that was bad. And I was like, yes, it was. What just happened? I was like, what in the world just happened? He was like, been a while, and I'm with you, I guess, maybe. I was like, bro, that's like, that was a whole nother level of it. And we are literally laughing all the way to the next door. Not that it was that far, but literally just and then I killed the next door. So like, you're gonna screw up to say hi. Like, I didn't say hi. I said, we do roofs. Like, it was the worst thing. Like, literally, that's one of my worst doors that I've ever done. Period. But it was definitely my most recent worst door. So you are gonna screw up the hello, I promise you. And when you do, just laugh it off, shake it off. Like, what are you going to do? It's over. Fix it the next time. Okay. And part of some of the tips to saying hello, like, don't like as they're opening the door, hi, I'm Marcus, the first priority. Like, let them, like, give them a second to, take a deep breath. Like, check it out for a second, but don't then let them open the door and also just go, like, if it feels awkward, it's because it's awkward. Okay. So keep it easy. Talk to them just like you pick up, a group of friends for the first time or whatever.
If you back up too, so you're not like right in the door.
I always forget that. That is that. And again, because that, like, I don't want to greet somebody for the first, like, I'm a big get out of my bubble guy. Right. So yeah, that's a pro tip right there. So good job. Nice call. So, boy, you got like alarms and all sorts of stuff going off over there. You doing okay?
Yeah.
Do we got a bunch of like heart pills and stuff when you take? Are we good? No, you all right? Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure this guy didn't have his case over there and he was skipping a couple. He's going to seizure out on us in a minute or something. So, all right. Okay. So, next, the L is let them know why you're there. So you're going to say hi. Don't beat around the bush. Get into why you're freaking there. Okay. Now, this is the hardest part when a neighborhood is brand new. So if you're like going to this, which, Thursday is going to be you guys everywhere, you haven't been here before. You don't know what's going on. Like, once you're like, hey, so just let you know, we were on Blake's roof, just neighbor right down the road. This is what we found. So we're just here, like, that's easier than, hey, so I haven't talked to anybody yet that was willing to let me up on the roof. I'm trying to make a living by making some money selling roofs. Can I start with you? Like, that doesn't really go well, right? So it's definitely harder in the beginning, but as soon as you've got on that very first one, as soon as you've opened it up, it becomes easier. But you can't be so afraid of it that you avoid it. Like, you got to let them know why you're there. You introduce yourself. Right after you introduce yourself, this is why I'm here. Don't try to be like, hey, so I'm just here just going around seeing if I can build rapport with people. I'm looking for a Sally in particular. Are you Sally? Like, just get on with it. So ask an open-ended question. What is an open-ended question?
Not yes or no.
Not yes or no. Exactly. So you will catch yourself doing this all the time. So can I look at it?
Is that okay?
No. Right? So, and then lastly, present to the answer. And you may go back and forth on these two for a while, but like something that I'll watch guys miss all the time. Remember, you're just having a conversation with somebody. So let's say for whatever reason, this is one that's just a pet peeve of mine that I see guys miss, because like as soon as I realize one day I'm missing very easy conversation, is actually, no, I haven't seen you. We're new to the area. We just moved here. Cool. So versus, oh, where'd you move from? Like if you're meeting somebody new for the first time in your group of friends or whatever, like, yeah, we just moved here. Okay, let me talk about me. Like, no, let me say, so let me tell you about this one time. They're gonna be like, oh, where'd you move from? Like it's just a conversation is all this is. It's just a conversation. Okay? So to that point, you're just talking. You literally get paid to go talk to people? And how many of you are aware that you're even getting paid when someone tells you no? It's like it takes 50 doors to get one, right? So you means you're going to get 49 no's. Well, it's not the one that paid you. All 50 paid you, right? The 49 taught you something about the one. Or maybe you're super good. Maybe you're super good and it doesn't go over with you. But is first, the thing you have to get over straight away is any and everything inside of your head. If you have any care whatsoever about anything other than I'm just going to knock on this door and what happens, happens, you will not do as well. There is a weird underlined like it's, just a feeling, right? Like I just got a feeling this isn't like that is what you're dealing with the second that door gets opened. So perfect example. I remember when I was here, my very first time that just in a 2-week period, I made 20 grand. So I made 20 grand in 2 weeks. And this was the payday of that 20 grand. And I was going to have an amazing date night. Like things were good. You weren't going to get me down. Nothing you could have done could have ruined my day. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go knocking some doors, man. I am feeling good in the hood. And I freaking crushed that day. I literally knocked 5 doors, got 5 sales. I couldn't get told no. And I was like, what in the crap happened today? Like I told you, I dissect what went right. And I was like, okay. So I was trying to think of everything that I said. I'm like, all right, I'm like, man, is like just this shirt combo. Did my thigh muscles look real good today? Like, what was the deal? It wasn't the thigh muscles. I don't, because like that's, yeah. It may have been. I was like, I'm here checking out roofs, right? So, but no, I was like, you know what? And then I actually felt my emotions of when I knocked on the door, I legit didn't care. Like, no care. If they told me no, spit, like whatever it was, I didn't care. And I tap into that every time I knock doors, except for the first door. Apparently, like I don't have this feeling on the first door. Other than that was the only day my first door was like a killer door. Literally, I think the only one. You have to go, like if you're going in thinking, oh man, I got to meet this quota, or I got to hit this deal, or like if you're thinking about anything other than my hands hitting the door, it's not going to go as well. I'm not going to say you won't succeed, but it's not going to go as well. Okay. And then when it comes to how and what to say, it's more about what you don't say. So how many of you have a brick wall when you're being sold to? Like when you're trying to sell to me, like I shut down. Like it's just no, like I'm nice, I'm polite because it's the industry I've always been in is retail and customer service. So like I'm never a jerk, but like you ain't getting in. So a perfect example that I'm going to tell you, man, something's itching the dog fire out of my eye. So one day and this was years ago. Okay. So, because when I tell you where it was, you're going to judge me. So a long time ago, I was younger. I could eat whatever I want and I didn't have to suffer any consequences at that time for it. Okay. So I call up my wife one day. I'm like, hey baby, since I'm so good at treating you and I know how to make my lady happy, how about some Whataburger? Tell you what, you can even large size it if you want to. Because I was rolling like that, right? So I get to my Whataburger and, you come rolling up. And like, I'm so good at this. I've been through this so much. Screen looks like, and I tell you minus this, that, in the order that's easiest for you. Like, I clearly know what I'm doing. I have a good cadence to my order and all this stuff. And then when I'm done, I go, that'll be all. I don't need you to say anything else other than my total until pull around to the second window. Why is it the second window? I don't know. Why do you even have a window when it's always closed or stacked up with boxes? It's literally just a waste of time and getting my confusion. You should have just this. Sorry. You should just have a second window. Side note, I'm getting squirrel brain on this. So anyways, But instead, what I got was, would you like? No, I would not like. We just went over this. Again, I'm this internal. I'm not having these thoughts out loud. And so she says, would you like a free apple pie? I'm like, no, thank you. And then she gives me my toll, and I'm driving around. I went, wait a second. She say free apple pie? I would absolutely like a free apple pie. I would 100% like a, wait, does she? No, that's not what she, so I go roll up to the window, right? And I'm like, excuse me, did you ask if I wanted a free apple pie? And boy, she glows up. She's like, yeah, got one. She's like, yeah, did you want one? No, ma'am, thank you. I clearly said no because I did not want one. I just feel you're making poor business decisions. Again, not what that was the inside, right? So my pride said, oh, no, thank you, because I didn't want to admit, actually, I was being a huge prick, right? So instead, I just said no, and I left without, and I could have gotten maybe multiples. I wouldn't have shared a single one of them with my wife. Like, I would have just stuffed them in my face, and she would have never known it. But that is what you're getting when you're at the door. All I heard, I didn't hear free apple pie. I heard, would you like, which my brain hears as selling something, and I don't want, like, I ordered what I ordered. Versus, had she had said something like, so here's the deal. We actually made too many apple pies today, so we're legitimately just giving them away. Do you want one? Not saying I would have heard that, but a higher likelihood. Like, it would have actually forced me to think a little bit. So when we talk about open-ended questions, that is what we're talking about. And when you completely shut down all emotion and you're just saying things, that's the trigger that they're not getting. They're, you're not that guy beating around the bush. You said hi, you said why they're there, and you legitimately intrigue them. So there's a saying, when a customer's not interested, you're not being interesting. Okay? So don't think of it, when it comes to door knocking, you can't think of it in terms of what you did wrong, because that doesn't necessarily exist, minus a few things that you can't say. It's just a matter of, what could I have done better? That's the mentality you got to take at it. But once you get to that door, you got to stop thinking. You just got to be. Your emotions have completely got to leave your body. Relaxed body. Movie R.I.P.D. Anybody seen that one? It's a horrible movie. Anyways, so next thing I want to get into, and you've got to be able to establish this super duper uber fast. Okay? You're going to have 3 different types of homeowners, and this is something we, once again, stole from Deshaun. It's actually, the quicker you're able to diagnose which homeowner you got, the quicker you can speak on their level, okay? And once you've seen enough of them, you'll understand how to diagnose them pretty quick. With you two having done door-to-door sales before, like, some of this will probably ring true to you. Maybe you just never categorized them in this manner. So now, using this is also, forewarning, going to be very stereotype. Well, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, because they freaking are true, okay? And you're going to hear me say some big ones about this one, because in all honesty, this is my least favorite homeowner. However, this is a style of homeowner that loves me the most, and I hate it. Like, like, the best part about this homeowner is they give referrals like crazy, but my gosh, they are a pain in the butt to deal with. And it's like the only kind of homeowner, like, they love me. Like, they wish they could have kids like me. It's ridiculous, but whatever. So the owl. The owl is what I call your Tesla and or Subaru driving, Starbucks drinking, Apple computer review reading SOBs. Like, that's who this is. If you come rolling up and in the driveway you see a Subaru or a Tesla, I'm telling you right now, they're an owl. Like, just, this is who they are. Like, just understand that. They're like, you're being racist towards their car. Yep, Yep, I can tell you all about a person based off their car. Okay, trust me, I can. So the owl, they're extremely analytical, very analytical. They're very detailed. They will want to do the research. So there's something I want to highlight about this because this is going to be two key differences between this homeowner and another style. And you can't diagnose them wrong or you will lose them. With an owl, there is a very large chance that you will not close them day one. Okay? So if you recognize that you have an owl, you're still going to ask for the sale, but you're not going to ask a second time, or you will push them away. Coming up with another homeowner here in a minute, you're going to have to ask them several times. So do not get that wrong. So if you go, this is an owl, and you tell yourself, I'm not going to push this guy, cool, but you better be right. And if you are right, not pushing them is the thing to do. Again, take it from a guy who closes almost every owl he comes across. Very rarely do they tell you yes on the first day because they like to do their research. Like they get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and they can't do research from the get-go. So a little trick that I do all the time, which we'll get into a little bit more in depth tomorrow, is when I recognize you as an owl right off the bat, before I get up on the roof to do an inspection, be like, tell you what, Jared, here's my business card. What I want you to do, seriously, Google me, look us up, so that way when I'm running around your roof, you actually know who it is that's here. Those guys will do the research right then and there, and that will maybe, if you come down and impress them, they'll go ahead and sign the first day. So that's a good little thing to do. And actually, I started doing that almost every time with everybody, because the owl's going to take it and love it, and the other two homeowners, like when you do that, they'll just go, he must be a trustworthy guy. Right? So it's a good thing to do in all categories, but it's really good for that one. So they are going to ask a ton of questions, okay? And they're going to ask questions, brace, that don't freaking matter, okay? Like they're going to ask one of them, the first weird question I ever got from an owl, and it was one of my first sales. He's like, how much does a shingle weigh? Not a bundle, a shingle. I'm like, why do you need to know that? So what I told him was, look, man, I'm new. There's probably going to be a lot of questions I recognize for real quick. He was going to have a lot of questions I didn't have answers to. It's like, I'm new. You're probably going to have a lot of questions that I don't know. I'm going to write down and I'm going to get your answers. I'm not going to ignore them. I will get your answers, but I'm probably not going to know them right now. So is that okay? And he said, yes. I'm like, that's definitely one of those I'm going to read. Okay. Man, I called up, talked to everybody here. I talked to them. Nobody knew that freaking answer. And I finally found it. And you guys are going to ask what every group is asked. So what's the answer? I don't freaking remember because it wasn't important. Like, it wasn't important then. It's not important now. Like, I don't remember. So I found it out and I got him his answer. And then I let that go out of my brain because I got limited capacity. So they want to know the process in depth. So one of the reasons that I teach you guys the full process now, even though like literally half of it, there's no need for you to know right now, is for guys like this. They're going to want to know from front to back before they even let you on their roof. Like, so you're on step 1. They want to know step 20 because there's 20 steps, by the way. They want to know them all. And you better tell them all. So that's literally the only reason I've given you the entire process up to this point, just being honest with you. They want to hear what you have to say. In other words, let me put that to you better. They want you to make a noose, put your head through it, and hang yourself. They want you to lie. Because if you do, you're out. So what I mean by that is, don't freaking lie, ever. Especially to this guy. So like if I would have made up a number, so to that guy, he went through 5 contractors, by the way. And when he chose me, I actually asked him, kind of like to your point. I said, if you don't mind my asking, why'd you pick me? He said, literally one reason. He's like, remember when I asked you how much the shingle weighed? Like, yeah, I didn't know. He's like, everybody else made something up. You clearly did the research to find out.
So was it important? Was it not?
It still wasn't important.
Well, yeah,
But
but
it was important that I found the answer. Still not important. No, Absolutely not.
He probably didn't give a rat's ass how much it weighed.
Mm-mm.
Those people make you better though, because like
100%.
they force you to look things up you normally wouldn't.
Like I said, you want to know like these people love me, and that's probably why. It's honestly probably one of the reasons I'm as dialed in as I am. But man, I hate these people. This is so not me. It's not even funny. Like you'll know which one I am here in a minute. It is not. And if any of you say I'm this one, you're fired. Like that is a direct insult to my. So side note, when I went down to Oklahoma City last week, I stopped at my brother's clinic because in my brother's clinic, he hired my little brother and my mother. So we're waiting on my mom and one of the new girls up there. She's like, "Oh, so I know which brother you are now." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "So you're most like your mom." So that's it. You're fired. I was like, "I'm the oldest brother. You're fired. I have the authority. You're gone." I said, "How dare you?" And then, so anyways, there's a line. You can say whatever you want about me. You say I'm an owl or my mom, and it's over. So told it to my wife. She thought it was really funny. So they want to hear what you have to say, AKA they want you to hang a noose around your neck. So they want to know who you are, meaning you as well as your company. So this is one of those deals where it's real important that you know our story. Hence the very first thing I told you guys. The fact that we've been around it since 2010. Does anybody know what I don't know if I asked this yesterday or not. Do you know what the average roofing company life expectancy is nationwide? 3 years. 3 years. Yeah, nationwide, 3 years. Do you know what it is in Oklahoma? 9 months.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So the fact that we've been around 14 years, that's going to make an owl pretty happy. Also, one of the reasons, like you let an owl know that we're master elite. Yeah. He may not know what it means. He's going to look it up and be like, "Oh, that's quite impressive." And he's like, "That's a pretty hard thing to obtain." Like he's gonna feel like he's getting the Grey Poupon of roofers, which he is. Okay. All makes sense. Everybody think they know who an owl is? What do they drive? Very good. All right. I love it. So yes, there's 2 guys in our company that drive Subarus, and I beat them up all the time. And yes, they are both 100% owls. Promise you. And even though one of them recently bought also a Dodge Ram TRX. It's Vadim. And so just shows you how much of an owl he is. I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I still got the Subaru." I was like, "Yeah, but which one you like better?" He's like, "No, I still like the Subaru better." What? I was like, "How the freak do you like a Subaru better than the fastest production truck on the planet?" Get out. Get out. How do you race sprint cars and like Subarus?
She didn't change her oil for 50,000 miles because nobody told her she was supposed to, and the car still runs.
It's a Subaru. It's a rally car.
I got
Rally car, I swear.
I got many other that are the complete opposite of that story, which we'll go into sidebar later because
cars don't die.
one of them's my favorite. What's that?
Ugly cars don't die.
Ugly cars don't die.
Man, that's not wrong, except for that one. So, so the next customer is going to be the Golden Retriever. So, in your early days, you're going to love the Golden Retriever because you're going to be outside getting your dadgum face beat in, and you're just going to be looking for a nice person, and you're finally going to have them. You're like, "Woohoo, a nice person," because they are really upbeat and they like to talk. Sadly, much like me, about themselves. All right. So, first interaction that went badly with a Golden Retriever for me, found out legitimately 45 minutes into the conversation, my mind is definitely somewhere else as this old girl's talking. I was like, "She doesn't know my name, who I am, or why I'm here, and I've been here for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
This is not going well." So they're going to talk to you. They're going to be nice, but I really care less if you're even you're standing there just to make them feel good. Okay. So the fact that they like to talk mainly about themselves, you're going to have to grab control of this conversation and quickly. If you do not lead them, they're going to lead themselves. And that's very bad. So I don't know if you know, those Golden Retrievers love to roll around in the mud. Like, same thing. Okay. So they have a very outgoing personality. They have a very hard time saying no because they want to be people pleasers. So what do you think an upside to that and a downside to that is?
I say yes to everything.
They say yes to everything, including you, right?
And the other roofer.
And the other roofer. Typically speaking, they're going to say yes to the last guy, right? And seeing as how this is a 5-week process, like remember when I told you guys you want that chalk that blows away if you close your eyes too hard? You don't want another roofer seeing that roof chalked up. You don't want it. So I used to lose golden retrievers all the time until I learned to start leading them. You lead them, there's a little bit of loyalty. There ain't a lot. On the flip side, these dudes are loyal as all get out. And that's why they got the best referrals, because all their friends know how particular they are and like, if he's good enough for Robert, he's good enough for me. Give me his number.
They're probably also owls.
Exactly. This old boy here, trust me, nobody listens to his advice. They're like, you talk to anybody. What? I ain't listening to you. So they're going to talk to multiple companies. Take this word, probably out. Trust me, they're talking to multiple companies. That ain't a probably. It's happening. Tell you that right now. Next, if it's free, it's for me. So though they love a good deal, that's all they care about. Now, it's your job to make sure they feel like they're getting a good deal. Not that they're not, but we're not going to get into negotiation. We're like the United States. We don't negotiate with terrorists, okay? So, and they have selective hearing.
It's like getting on a pretty woman.
That's exactly right. They have. It's like when my wife said, "Hey, can I get more plants?" And I said no, and then she just keeps getting more plants. Whatever.
She wasn't asking for permission. She was stating what she's going to do.
100%. Yeah, it really felt like a question to me. I swore it was a question. So, nonetheless, the last one, a bulldog. Now, the bulldog is going to be that old boy that is going to chew newbies up, spit them out, pee on them, rub dirt in their eye. But to the pros, you love a bulldog because they are fast moving, fast at making decisions, and you make the most money on them and you make it with the least amount of time involved. So these are my favorite, though I always have the darndest time finding them, because when an owl refers you to another owl, you get another owl. So that's the downside about referrals. All your customers are going to be the same, and all my customers are pretty much owls. When I got a bulldog, I'd be like, yes, I'm going to make money so much faster. So anyways, they are focused on the big picture. Okay. They want to be short and to the point. Like, as where the owl wants to know the whole process, they'd be like, I got to check it out so that we can go here. Like, he wants to know first, last. That's it. You get muddied in the water, he's waiting for you to shut up. So if you ever feel like they're not listening to you, probably a bulldog. Okay? If you feel like they're being mean, they are not being mean. They just have controlled emotions. So a bulldog almost, go ahead.
Are you a bulldog?
Yes.
Looks just like one.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That's good. I thought the same. Right. So they have very controlled emotions. All right. You're gonna think like that they're this big, mean, scary thing. No, they just like they know that if they show excitement, that shows that like they just don't want to. They don't want to show that. They want to be in control. They're straight to the point. Like they're the like I'm a bulldog pretty much always, but I'm dang sure a bulldog if you're selling to me. Like, let's get on with this. Especially nowadays, like bulldogs are the guy. When we talked earlier about you just know if somebody knows. They like to think that they are so good, they know when you're good, and that's all they care. They don't have to know the thing. They just have to know that you know the thing. And that's all they care. If you don't, you got them.
Do you find more farmers to be bulldogs?
100%. 100%. It's a very good point. They get bored by details. Trust me. Watch how quickly I bore. They don't like to waste time. Okay. And right here where you see loves to save money, doesn't say they don't have a problem spending it. The guys who will spend the most money are actually bulldogs. They want a good deal, but they also don't negotiate. Like, it's like, give me a good deal. And if you do, if they're happy with the deal, cool beans. See you later. They're like, they'll pay the price. They don't care. They just want to feel like they win. Okay. They're very guarded. Once again, their controlled emotions and guarded, it makes them feel like, or it makes you feel like they're being mean to you. It's just no. They know that, like, once you come into a bulldog, like once you break a bulldog down, he's going to send you so much business. It's not even funny. When I told you guys about Jeff, the guy who literally I knocked on his door 5 times and went till the 6th time where he came to me, Jeff was a bulldog. And in the end of the day, wrote me one of the best reviews I've ever had, and has probably given me, he's given me more referrals than just about anybody. Loved the fire out of me. Like, he sent me, for like the first 2 years of it, he'd send me messages on like major holidays, wishing me happy, whatever, and inviting me over. Right? So like once you get into a bulldog, like you are their best friend. That's why they are so guarded and so controlled over their emotions, because they know that about themselves. Like, that's why a lot of people, like when you see no soliciting signs, a lot of those guys are like, I got to put this up because I'm easily sold. When I see no soliciting sign, that's all I think. I'm like, this guy's easy to sell to. And he's just aware of it. Okay. So they don't like small talk. So if you're like the whole motor thing, that guy wasn't a bulldog, because he'd be like, bro, like what? So case in point, I just told you guys the story of my most recent horrific first door failure. The bulldog was the very next door. And he opened the door, and like, I could just tell from the way he was walking to the door with the way he carried himself, like, oh, it's a bulldog. And when you just bombed a door as bad as I just bombed a door, you do not want a bulldog as your next guy. Instead, he opens up doors eating pizza. I was like, hey man, what's going on? Marcus here checking out roofs. Seen some in the area. There's been some issues. You want yours checked out? Kind of damage you've been seeing? Well, you've had a couple of hailstorms. In all honesty, some houses have been damaged, some houses haven't. I got no clue. Step 1's check it out. Get up. Like, and again, I couldn't act it that way to this guy. So I figured that out with that guy just by the way he was walking to the door. So like I said, when I talk about bored of the detail, like that's literally how that went. Wrote down his information, did the inspection. Actually, I called one of the guys who did the inspection. I didn't do it. I just had to go around proving that I was better than everybody. So,
You're at that point you can delegate.
So does that make sense? So once again, this guy is going to terrify you initially. When you, like, the first day you land a bulldog, you're gonna be like, why was that so much easier than everything else I've ever done? So cool. Any questions? Nope.
No, sir.
I do think it's funny, the no soliciting sign, that's so true, because a lot of times they'll already have solar panels and Vivint, and it's like no soliciting. This person loves door-to-door people.
100%. So here's what I'll tell you on the no soliciting. I'm going to knock them all day long, because technically you are not soliciting. You're offering a free service. Now, you soliciting when you come down, faux show. But at that point, it's already an approved deal, right? So I will knock no soliciting neighborhoods. I'll knock no soliciting signs. I don't care. The only ones that I won't do, okay, I take that back. I literally just thought of this just now. If they have multiple no soliciting signs. So like I had one that, like, on the mailbox, seriously, don't even try it. Then up towards the porch, you're seriously still trying this? I was like, yeah, no, I feel like I'm better than that. I was not better than that. Let's be real clear. I was not better. There was a reason they had 5 signs up. So that did not go well. The other one, if you show on, during the COVID days, we are maskers. If you don't have a mask, I'm like, yeah, you're not my people. Like, if I know you're not my kind of people, I'm not going to waste my time because I'm not putting on a mask. Like, I'm outside. It's 100 some degrees.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Okay. So,
So should we like, as like beginners, as rookies, should we like wait to go knock on the no soliciting?
no,
Go for it.
no. Remember when I said day one? I seriously hope Thursday. So in the end, I hope you have a win. Suck right from the get-go. Because typically speaking, those that have the suck and then get the success are the guys that stay. Typically speaking. Like, for example, I've seen plenty of guys have success for like their first 30 days. And then when they get that first bad week, gone. Right?
A lot of people don't even remember they put a no soliciting sign up. Like you knock on it and they don't even.
Okay.
Or
Yep.
right there when they bought the house.
Yeah.
Yep. Also true. Yep. And then there was one time when I had a guy installing a no soliciting sign when I went to go do his walkthrough, and he catches me. He goes, "Hey, you know why I'm putting this up?" I was like, "Because of me?" He goes, "That's right." I was like, and he goes, "Really?" I'm like, "You didn't have it up when I was here." He's like, "Would you?" He's like, "Would this stop you?" I was like, "You think that would stop me?" He goes, "No." He's like, "Well, you're who I'm trying to avoid." I'm like, "You can't avoid me." Like, yeah, let's get this real clear. Yeah. You can't avoid me. So, and that's the one. He actually did refer me. He gave, he asked for a bunch of my cards, and he gave one of his neighbors my card, and his neighbor called the office, and the office sent one of the other guys to my referral. And then I get a call. He's like, "Hey man, can you help me?" This is like, "Hey, what? Are you across from David's house?" She goes, "Yeah, I was trying to figure out when I got here. She acted like I knew him." I was like, "That's my referral, dadgummit." I was like, "Oh." And then I had to help him close the deal. Like, salt on the wound, man. So, lastly, like yesterday, we're going to end with some technology. You guys are going to know, like, love, and use Company Cam. Okay? Yes, I am absolutely assuming the sale. So I'm going to pull it up on the computer for you. Share the screen here. So now it looks